We hear a lot about diversity these days. It's one of the new religions adopted by the left. Not diversity of opinion, of course. No. The left's version of diversity is centred around the inclusion of the marginalised, which also somehow includes women. You see, if we could just remake our workplaces and societies over to look like a United Colours of Benetton catalogue, then we would reach that magic utopia. And of course, diversity, or a perceived lack of it, is often used as a club to beat us over the head with and remind us normies that we're all a bunch of
racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, Islamophobic, you name it.
And thanks to organisations like the ABC, they offer up examples of diversity for us normies to embrace, like friendly moderate Muslim faces like Yasmin Abdel Magid. But let's switch this question of diversity around. How diverse, for example, is the Islamic community here in Australia? How accepting are they of voices that call for, say, a reform of Islam? You know, like Ayaan Hirsi Ali. Oh yeah, that's right. Well, she is a foreigner after all. How dare she come here and lecture us on what Islam should or shouldn't be? So how about we listen to a homegrown Australian Muslim Imam, Sheikh Mohammed Tawhidi. Here he is on the Outsiders program last Sunday.
Right now, I am delighted to introduce Sheikh Mohammed Tawhidi. Welcome to Outsiders, Sheikh.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, Ross.
So, Imam, you are currently in hiding. You have made a lot of enemies within the Islamic community for comments you have made in support of Australia. Tell us, for example, you went to the Anzac Day ceremony last week. You're a proud Australian patriot. Tell us why the Islamic community have turned on you.
Basically, I have been told that I'm too Australian to be an imam, and that imams should stick to their religion and the fundamentals within their religion more than the country, more than siding with the country. And I believe that's not right. I believe one should actually side with the country first, religion comes second. I believe law of the land comes before law of the religion. So even in my personal life, when I have a lady that comes to me and says, listen, I want to get married or I want to get divorced, I say, yes, go to the court first, get the paper from there, and then come to me. But the other imams usually just $1,500 under the table.
You called for a female mufti to come to Australia, a female mufti. You believe that the current system is not doing enough to integrate Muslims into Australia. What's your thoughts on the muftis, the Grand Mufti and the other muftis?
Well, with all due respect, this is nothing personal. It's my understanding of the current Muslim community, and obviously I live a life of an imam, so I get lots of phone calls, lots of complaints. I feel what the community is going through. The characters elected by the Australian National Imams Council to represent the Muslim community they seem to not be doing a good job doing that. There have been several incidents in Australia where the Muslims haven't been represented appropriately by the Grand Mufti, and in many cases, they've been misrepresented by silly statements and statements that are just outrageous.
Such as?
Such as, for example, the first Mufti said Australian women were like cat meat. The second Mufti backed his opinion that Osama bin Laden isn't to blame for 9/11 on his first day in office. Well, he's passed away now. The third Mufti, the current Mufti that we have now, before coming to Australia, he wrote an article that was published in Abu Dhabi where he said that the West gives us nothing but diseases. And then the future Mufti of Australia moves to Australia, and he's sitting with our Prime Minister and a leader of oppositions, and we're confused as to what's going on. This is a man who we know the real ideology of Islam rejects the West, and he's here shaking hands with them. Is it taqiyya? Is it deception? What's going on?
Can I ask you, the President of Turkey, who has just substantially expanded his powers after locking up thousands of journalists, judges, etc., he made the statement in criticism of Western leaders, such as Australian leaders, and Western media, such as the Australian media, who insist on this idea of moderate Islam in distinction to either fundamentalist Islam or extreme Islam or, historical Islam. Recep Erdogan, president of Turkey, said there is no moderate Islam or extreme Islam, there is just Islam. Now, there has been quite a bit of argument about how to describe you as a Muslim. What word do you choose to describe Sheikh Taoudi?
I've stopped calling myself a moderate because the word moderate has been used to describe other people who appear to be moderate, but as soon as they open their mouths, they speak about the acceptance of the idea of beating wives as a last resort, and they're referred to as moderates. So I'd rather be referred to as a patriot Australian Muslim. My ideology is a peaceful ideology of uniting Muslims onto an ideology that is compatible with every place on this planet. I believe Islam can be made compatible. There are scripts in the Shia faith and in the Sunni faith. If taken out of our country, we stop preaching them, we'll have a beautiful religion of Islam that everyone can relate to. But
should everyone belong to it or just relate to it? So should non-Muslims, ultimately, would you like to see non-Muslims converting to
Never.
Islam? Or happy?
Never. Last week, I had a person come and said he wanted to embrace Islam. And I said, yes, and then what's your plan? Because I want to know what his plans are. He said he wants to go and study Islam in Saudi Arabia. And I said, you're not going to become Muslim. I'm not accepting you. And he said, why? I said, we already have many like you that we have to deal with. You're just going to add on to the problem.
Well, we can see why you're an outsider.
Well, I don't know about you, but I like the cut of this Imam's jib. But how's he received in the Islamic community? Here he is on 7 News, taking a tour of Lakemba in Sydney's southwest.
Within seconds, Imam Tawhidi's first visit to the Muslim heartland of Western Sydney was met with abuse. The highest concentration of Australian Muslims.
Thank you.
What does that mean?
It means, may God curse you, you pig, you dog. There's a fundamental religious background that they've been nurtured with on a daily basis in their homes, that we are not like them.
Imam Tawhidi has courted controversy, saying Muslims should put Australia ahead of Islam, all Islamic colleges should be banned, and a temporary ban on immigration put in place.
We need more Muslims showing that we really love this country, and I push my community to that, yeah.
He also says halal certification is unnecessary, existing only to generate money for Islamic federations.
Stamping Islamic terminologies on Mars bars and Twix and Cherry Ripe, and what does this have to do with religion?
His critics claim he is a fake sheikh, but they do not address his arguments online or in the street. From the moment we got here, we were filmed, insults were thrown, then we saw people on phones, people started following us, and then started gathering en masse outside a shop across there where the sheikh was just insulted. We didn't come here to start trouble, rather to see what the reaction would be. Now it's time to leave. Brian Seymour, 7 News.
Now just reflect for a moment on something said in that report, that Imam Tawhidi has courted controversy because he suggests Muslims should put Australia ahead of Islam. Now what kind of lopsided world do we live in where that would be considered controversial? So I know there are some of you out there that think that Islam can't be reformed, but I think if there's a chance that it can be made more compatible with Western and Australian values, then this is the guy that political leaders should be getting behind, not the so-called moderates promoted by the likes of the ABC. So what's your take on Imam Tawhidi? Can he be a driving force for change in Australia's Islamic community? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. See you next time.